some important points, especially relating to the Reformers' views on church-state relations, and this led Kuyper to expand on basic Calvinist ideas in articulating his theology of cultural engagement. When he visited Princeton Seminary in 1898 to deliver the Stone Lectures, Kuyper introduced his perspective on the relevance of Calvinist theology to contemporary life by informing his audience that he had not come to restore Calvinism to its worn-out form, but rather to address the basic principles of Calvinism in a way that meets the requirements of our own century. In offering that assessment, Kuyper was signaling his enthusiasm for updating Calvinism, even revising it at some key points, as the Calvinist movement faced new cultural realities. This statement of purpose contrasted in a stark manner to remarks that had been made at Princeton 26 years earlier by the great theologian Charles Hodge, when on April 24, 1872, he addressed over 500 people who had gathered to honor him for 50 years of his scholarship and teaching at Princeton Seminary. In those comments, Hodge articulated what a recent biographer describes as the definitive, oracular statement of his life. What he was especially proud of, Hodge declared, was that during his half-century of service at Princeton, a new idea never originated in this seminary. To be sure, these quite different expressions of what it means to be faithful to the Reformed tradition are not fully accurate measures of how Hodge and Kuyper actually went about their respective theological tasks. Hodge was obviously capable of breaking new ground, and Kuyper could certainly resist new theological thoughts, as he frequently did in some of the ecclesiastical controversies in which he was actively engaged. Nonetheless, the two expressions represent, in the abstract at least, differing dominant tendencies within the broad tradition of Reformed orthodoxy. One tendency is theological protectionism, a posture of resistance to significant theological innovation, while the other is what we can label creative engagement with new cultural realities. While both of these tendencies are meant to serve the cause of Calvinist orthodoxy, there has long been disagreement within the Reformed tradition regarding what exactly is required by way of faithful subscription to the Reformed confessions. Some have insisted on line-by-line assent to each mode of formulation in each confessional document, while others have stipulated that sincere assent be given to the basic theological principles affirmed by those documents. But in neither case has it been acceptable for a person to claim confessional fidelity and disagree with the details of what is clearly taught in the confessions. Within those boundaries, then, Hodge and Kuyper would have seen each other as obvious co-defenders of Reformed orthodoxy. My own theological sympathies are firmly on the Kuyperian side of the spectrum. We live in a time of rapid change, both in the larger cultures in which we spend our daily lives, and also in our efforts to support the ongoing mission of the Christian community in the midst of that cultural change. The challenges are great, but I like to see them as providential opportunities to present the message of the gospel in a manner that is appropriate to the times and cultural contexts in which the church finds itself. The scope. My primary purpose in this book is to clarify some of the basic themes of the neo-Calvinist perspective on common grace, along with the larger account that Kuyper offered of God's intentions for cultural development in the context of the overall pattern of the biblical narrative. In pursuing my purpose here, I will not be providing a general introduction to neo-Calvinism. That kind of overview is available elsewhere, most notably in Al Wolter's Creation Regained, and more recently Craig Bartholomew's Contours of the Kuyperian Tradition. And even in focusing specifically on common grace, I won't be attempting to provide a detailed exposition of the theological debates that have shaped the development of the common grace doctrine over the past century and a half. Fortunately, that kind of detailed discussion has recently become accessible in English with the publication of Jochem Douwma's 1966 Dutch dissertation that focuses on 100 years of neo-Calvinist treatments of common grace. I learned much from reading this careful and painstakingly detailed study. For the complex narrative of neo-Calvinist discussions of common grace in particular, Douwma's book is surely now the authoritative guide. My purpose